I mean, not to be impolite, but what makes you so special that they all want to read your blog?
I can step on toes and be objective and offensively honest.
And leave it to contrarian badass Reggie Middleton to find them. Reggie Middleton, of course, is entrepreneurial investor.
And Reggie Middleton, editor of the Boom Bust blog. And I should note that Reggie put a note out to his clients. I'm not sure the exact price point on Apple, but it was doggone near the top, saying get out of the stock. It was a great call.
This is Reggie Middleton from Boom Bust blog. In this video, I'm going to detail the fall of Apple, one tablet at a time. For those who are not familiar with me, I am an entrepreneurial investor. A lot of people call me an analyst, but I'm really just a thinker, a perpetual student. I have a long list of accomplishments that I'm proud of. I have a few failures. It happens, you know, part of the learning curve. But luckily, I am right more often than I'm wrong. Last year, I am the lone contrarian. I called for the shorting of Apple. In a pair trade, short Apple, go long Google. Apple was about $700 and change at its peak, right about the call. Google was about $400 and change. From 700 to about 4 something for Apple, and for Google from 4 something up to about just over 1,000. Turned out to be very good to be so contrarian. You know, last year, everybody ridiculed and poo-pooed the call, even though the margin compression thesis that was powering that short call was obvious. It was obvious for 2010. So here we are, the fourth quarter of 2013, and it's time to discuss margin compression again. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the details of the video. I'll leave that for you to hear, to see, to peruse. But I want to make it clear, this video is not a tech comparison. It's not a comparison of products, tech review. It is basically a discussion and analysis of the business strategy behind Apple's success and as a consequence, their soon-to-be failure. And it's based upon the tablet market, okay? This is the brand new iPad 2, iPad mini version 2 with the Retina display. This will be compared in the second half of this video with, or part 2 of this video, with its true competition. And that's not the iPad Air or any of the iPads or the Nook or any of the iPad tablets, Amazon tablets, but with the actual phablets. Here we have the iPad mini 2, we have the Sony Xperia Z Ultra, we have the venerable, Samsung Note 3. Samsung's a company that actually, he didn't start the phablet craze, but, they started the phablet craze, but they didn't invent the phablet category. And we have new coming to the block, the Chinese company Oppo, which created a very interesting device, very high quality, okay? These are the true competition to Apple's tablets and to all the other tablets, okay? Now, I'm probably the first investor slash analyst slash pundit that you would hear say that, but the numbers bear it out. My analysis bears it out, and just take a look at what you see walking around. Phablets are outselling tablets. Why? For the same reason that tablets outsold PCs and netbooks. Okay, so let's go through this history of Apple's rise and subsequent fall, soon to be fall. And part 2 would be most interesting because you're going to see me take these devices out in the street, use them, compare them, get people's opinions, and I'll show you how I actually use the devices. And you can see why the tablet took over PC. Tablet sales have outstripped PC sales significantly now. These are the new PCs, but now phablets are now outstripping tablets. These are the new tablets, hence they are the new PCs. And to be truthful, you see, this is becoming a dinosaur, but the market is moving so fast, the tablet is gone, but even this will become a dinosaur because contextual computing is coming to the forefront. And you've heard me discuss glass and the various other contextual computing or wearable computer items. Yes, exciting times, moving at lightning speed. Au revoir. Okay. This is my comparison of the iPad mini and its heretofore unrecognized competitors. Anybody who's been following me knows that I have been harping on margin compression for Apple for several years now. I think I was pretty much the lone contrarian. I've been proven correct. And now it's part two of the thesis. Most people think that Apple's competition um, is primarily the big boys in global mobile computing, such as Samsung, and to a lesser extent Google. Well, Google is definitely the case, and Samsung as well. But I don't think it's Samsung that's actually going to the primary impetus of market compression for Apple. It will be Google's Android, and Google's Android, which is piggybacking upon the smaller um, Southeast Asian manufacturers. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So here we have the iPad Mini, okay? The iPad Mini 2, actually, the Retina display. Okay, nice, fancy minimalist, a nice minimalist Apple-esque box. Okay, looks pretty good. Uh, I'd like to compare this with the Oppo N1 unboxing that I did last week. The small Chinese OEMs have really gotten their game together. The Oppo box is a much, much higher aesthetic, better put together than the Apple. And so here we have these pretty minimalist boxes. These boxes come from a company called Oppo. Oppo is a company that I featured on my blog last year. In my opinion, they make some of the best handsets in terms of quality, feature set. They're very durable. They look good. This is the Oppo N1. It's a phone that has a very strong photographic bend. And to begin with, you take a look at the boxes. You know, they're beautiful. This looks like Tiffany's case. Okay, and we have two boxes. This just came from Guangdong, China uh, this morning. It shipped to New York. And, right, we have a nice minimalist white case, the logo here. This is the device. Okay, this device, again, packaged, nice minimalist fashion. This is a device that is definitely substantial. Okay, which, just a couple of years ago it could be considered blasphemy to say so. And this is the iPad mini. The reason why I'm going over the iPad mini now is because uh, Apple has come up with the iPad Air, which is the iPad version 5, a much smaller device, and then its predecessors, thinner, lighter, faster, generally all around a better device. Um, right before they came out with the iPad Air, before that, the latest iteration was the iPad Mini, which was Apple's response to the smaller form factor tablets, which the market basically demanded. The Samsung 7 and 8-inch tablets, the Amazon tablets, and to a greater extent, the Nexus 7, all of which were very popular. Nexus 7 proved to be a very big hit, priced at about $250, competitive in terms of tech and capability. It's a market hit. So what Apple did was Apple came up with their own mini product. Um, those who know the history behind the iPad is Apple's foray into the netbook market. Apple management is very astute, especially as led by Steve Jobs. Apple didn't want to get into the netbook market because even though netbooks were hot and were selling like hotcakes, prices were dropping through the floor. Margins were thin or non-existent or often negative. And as other American companies such as Dell and HP, etc., would come up with these netbooks and sell them and compete against the Southeast Asian manufacturers, they saw their margins decrease. So Apple decided to go in a different route. They took an established niche, which was a tablet. They stripped functionality from the tablet. So it just did very few core things, but those core things relatively well. Media consumption, reading, etc. Put a very large battery with it, so they solved a few problems with long battery life. Of course, they created problems in terms of limited functionality, but these problems were couched in expert marketing, and that's how the iPad was born. So through the iPad, Apple entered into the netbook margin with margins that were multiples of the netbook industry itself. Now, the iPad has lower margins than the cash cow, which was the iPhone. The iPhone at that time was about 72% of roughly 70% of Apple's earning power. So the iPad was, number one, used to diversify that revenue and earning stream, and number two, to enter a new market. They did a very good job, but they were one up by the smaller form factor from Google et al. And when Apple came up with its small form factor, the iPad mini, the generation before this, which was last year, the unexpected happened. The iPad mini cannibalized iPad sales. Basically, everybody wanted small form factor. At the expense of the larger iPad. Now the iPad mini has lower margins than the iPad. So what Apple did this time around was they increased both the functionality by putting a high resolution screen in and the price of the iPad mini. At the same time, they decreased the effective size of the iPad, full-size iPad with higher margins. They did this in an attempt to basically direct sales towards the iPad. Now, in comparison to the way this iPad was boxed, right? This is a packaging for my current day-to-day phone/tablet fabric. This is the Sony Xperia Ultra. Okay, right? Even though this is not truly an unboxing, but this is how this package came. Again, fairly minimalist, sleek. This particular design is far superior in terms of aesthetics, the actual device, than any Apple product that I know of. The iPad mini and its true competitor, the Android phablets. Okay, no, not the tablets, but the actual phablets.
Reggie Middleton.
Reggie Middleton.
Reggie Middleton.
Reggie Middleton.
Oh, he doesn't mince his words. We're talking about Reggie Middleton.
I first literally stumbled on Reggie Middleton a few years ago when I was researching General Growth Properties. He was so far ahead of everybody and so detailed. And then he started warning about Bear Stearns and Lehman. Well, he was so far ahead of the curve, I actually thought he was nuts.
He called the housing crash. He called the collapse of Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers. He's been harping on the crisis in the Eurozone banking system for years now, so he's just the guy to talk to.
He told us how 0% interest rates were starving the banks that it was designed to save. Now, at the time, you were the only analyst in the world to mention that it would starve the banks, and you've been proven correct.
Reggie Middleton, who nailed Facebook, by the way.
Crown the champion, the winner of the first ever CNBC Stocks Draft.
Yay!
Reggie
Reggie!
Middleton!
I mean, not to be impolite, but what makes you so special that they all want to read your blog?
I can step on toes and be objective and offensively honest.
And Reggie Middleton, editor of the Boom Bust blog. And I should note that Reggie put a note out to his clients. I'm not sure the exact price point on Apple, but it was doggone near the top, saying, get out of the stock. It was a great call.
Okay, if Google Glass succeeds, it changes the way computing is done. You no longer use cell phones, notebooks, laptops. You walk around. Your computing experience is implied virtual reality. It's worn on your eyes. It's a total different way of doing things. 1 second.
That's not their fault. They
Gmail.
don't manufacture. They don't manufacture.
Google is a service company, and they do manufacture. They own Motorola. Does Motorola manufacture?
They just acquired Motorola last year.
Okay, well then you answered
It has
the
been
question.
great for them. They're very happy.
You answered your question. You answered your own question. I didn't have to do it.
I said
for you.
they-
And leave it to contrarian badass Reggie Middleton. Contrarian badass Reggie Middleton. Contrarian